Alright guys, so welcome to Paranormal Adventures. It is now episode 5, and I wanted to do basically part 2 to Grandpa's house. And basically talk about most of the paranormal experiences. I want to leave the last experience I ever had for the third part. I want to leave kind of like the last paranormal experience for basically everybody in the house. So my father told me experience. So he was downstairs in the basement. He had a bunch of like speakers at the corner of the room. He had his drum set. He had it all set up really nice. And basically, if he would have headphones on, and if anybody needed to get his attention, basically they would turn the light on and off. So he sees the light turned on and off, and he goes upstairs. He's like, "Hey, what do you guys want?" They're like, "We didn't call you." He's like, "Yeah, the light went on and off." He's like, and Grandpa was like, "Are you okay, son?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay." So he goes back down there, and then it happens again. So he goes up there. He's like, "What do you guys want?" And they're like, "Nothing." He's like, "You're worrying me, son." And he's like, "Oh, okay." So he locks the door. Now you can still open it a little bit, but you can only get like one arm through, and that's it. So the light turns on and off again. So this time he doesn't go upstairs. He only goes at the very top of the stairs. No, at the very bottom of the stairs, so that he can see if anybody's just playing a prank on him. So he's looking, and all of a sudden the light turns on and off, and no one did anything. He's like, "Oh, okay, what the hell's going on here?" Because that basement was basically his. That whole basement was basically his. So he turns off. He goes to the breaker, and he basically turns that corner of the room off. But what happens is absolutely, that's scary as all hell. He turns that part of the room off, and the light flips on and off, even though he turned it off. And that just, So, another experience that I had was, there's actually 2 instances where the stereo went on the second time, and I was very young. I was about maybe 10, and we were just talking, and all of a sudden, now at the time I thought it was Grandpa, and the stereo went on and off, and I was like, "Grandpa, why did you do that? That scared me." And he was like, "I didn't do that." He's like, the remote's right next to you." And I turn over, and the remote's right there, and I was like, "Oh God." And then my mom and dad, they were going in the woods to get some, because basically his house, it's a huge backyard, and there's kind of like some wooded areas. It's not that far, it's not that deep. Well, it's like a forest or something like that, but it's just big enough that you can like cut a few things down, get some wood and all that stuff. And the one neighbors, basically, they said, "Yeah, go ahead." So they got some wood, and they see this weird thing in the woods. I didn't know if I was going to put this in here, because technically it didn't happen at his house, but it was like next to his house, so I'm still going to count it. So you see this weird like thing in the woods, and it has these red eyes. And at first they thought it was an animal, like a dog or something, that was like reflecting off like the headlights or of a car, or like the street lights. But where Grandpa lived at this point, my mom and dad told me that the street lights didn't really work, and that the people came by like a week later to fix all the street lights, so it wasn't that. And then the red eyes start getting closer, and they're like, "Oh, hell no." So they just run back in there. And that was super creepy. So I'm going to almost end this, I'm going to do, I think, 2 more experiences. So Grandpa, he was sitting down one night, and all of a sudden, the TV started changing channels at a rapid pace, and the controller was right next to him, so he thought it was like the batteries, and he took the batteries out, and then put them back in, and it kept on going. And then when it stopped on like an Elvis concert, which my grandparents and my parents both love Elvis. They love Elvis. I love Elvis. But they, like, Grandpa, like, idolized him. He had the same hair as him, like, dressed like him. I mean, he loved Elvis. And it stopped on Elvis. And it was just really odd that the channel was switching at a rapid pace and just stopped at this channel that Grandpa had never seen before. He told me that he had never seen this channel, because this is around the time where he got like a bunch of channels for cable, and he was like, this is very weird, because I've never heard of this channel before, I've never seen this channel, I've never seen the channel number like that before, but it stopped on Elvis, and that was weird. And then the last paranormal experience I will tell is at the new house that he was at. So in 2009, he moved because his grandma died in that house and all that stuff, and he just couldn't take it anymore. How he lasted 3 years in the house after she died, I don't know, because I wouldn't last even 3 weeks in there, or 3 months, or 3 days. I would just immediately want to get out. But so we were sitting down, and I don't know what the hell it is with stereos at his house, but this must have been the first month that he lived there, and all of a sudden the stereo goes off. And this is just Grandpa. I wasn't over there, but he told me, because he knows I love paranormal stuff, and he told me that one night he was watching it was either Abbott and Costello or Monday Night Raw. It was one of those two, and all of a sudden the stereo goes off, and it plays Elvis. So he goes up to it, and when he opens the thing, there's no CD in there, there's no cassette, there's nothing in there. When he sees, like, what radio station on, there is no radio station on, and it says CD. It says, like, CD1 or something like that, but it said 1, as if there was a CD on 1, like there was a CD put in there, because there was, like, 3 different CDs you can put in the stereo at one time. It would play, like, 1, CD1, CD2, CD3, or something like that. And he said that was freaky as all hell. So, yeah, so next week, I'm going to finish with part 3. I'm going to talk about the last paranormal experiences that Grandpa had and I had. And I'll probably ask around, see if anybody else had any more experiences. But, yeah, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later.